us, then welcome to the Product Marketing Festival. And for those of you that have already been tuning in, welcome back. We hope you will or have been enjoying what's going on, and we just want to take the opportunity to say thanks to all the sponsors and partners. And if you're not already signed up, don't forget to check out the Slack channel for lots more product marketing resources and discussion. Enjoy the talk.
Monday.com is the project management platform my team and I use to keep our work moving forward, anywhere, anytime. Monday.com gives us a clear picture of who's working on what and where it all stands. And when we mark something done, there's a sense of real progress. Plus, we can share files and keep each other updated, all in one place. So, if you want to get more done with your team, go to Monday.com and start your free trial today.
Hello, my name is Maureen Keating, and I'm here today to talk to you about the differences between product management and product marketing. First, a little bit about me. I've been in product management and product marketing roles for companies like Apple, Adobe, Williams-Sonoma, Hewlett-Packard, and Cisco, which puts me in a pretty unique position to be able to talk about the differences between product management and product marketing. With product management, you'll primarily be looking internally and working with the development and engineering teams to focus on developing requirements for each feature release. And you'll be prioritizing what makes sense for each of the releases, working with those teams that I mentioned. With product marketing, you'll be focused on your customers and the messaging and the strategies for going to market for the products that are being developed by product management. In both product management and product marketing, you're focused on advocating for the customer. In the case of product management, you'll really be looking at user scenarios and use cases, and developing personas that help, and you'll be responsible for being the chief customer advocate for your product. In the role of product marketing, you're also an advocate for the customer, representing their point of view in the development of personas and use cases. In the case of product management, your personas and use cases are going to be driven by how people are using your product and using that information to help prioritize what should be worked on in the release, and the use cases, which are the ways that people use your product, the reasons they're coming to your product. With product marketing, development of personas is really around a customer journey model, and the use cases are more around purchase behavior and how people are discovering and their engagement with the product. The marketing interaction is common to both roles as well, whereas the product manager is really focused on being a spokesperson that the marketing team can rely on to talk to the press, to evangelize internally, and to talk about the history and the roadmap of the product so that everyone's aligned and on the same page, as well as being the final arbiter of all of the technical communications that go out, so that when marketing is creating materials or campaigns, that they're accurate in terms of what the customer value is and the actual functionality of those features. Whereas product marketing is really a hub of information that coordinates all of the marketing activities, working with key roles within the marketing organization. In both product management and product marketing, you'll be engaged in cross-functional team leadership. And what that means is that you're working with teams across organizations without having direct responsibility for those people. So it will be the ability to influence without authority, because none of the people who you're directing in these cross-functional teams will report to you. It's really a matrixed organization, and you'll be managing people throughout these matrix organizations. In both roles, you'll be governed by the software development lifecycle, meaning that, the development that's going on in terms of software will be, there'll be testing, there'll be releases. Usually those will be on some kind of a cadence. That development methodology, whether it's Agile or Waterfall, will govern the release cadence often. And so both product management and product marketing are largely doing their planning around the software development life cycle and the release cadence. Both of these roles will also be engaged in competitive analysis, but the point of view is slightly different. Product management is really looking at the features and the feature set of competitors and the competitive landscape, maybe where competitors are going to, so they can make sure that the product is remaining competitive over time. In product marketing, you're focused more on understanding who the feature set, the messaging, and the marketing strategy are targeting in terms of target audience. And also you're focused on what that what the messaging mechanics are to go to an audience. So you want to, and especially if your competitors are messaging against you, it's important to understand those nuances and to keep abreast of what's going on there. Both roles are KPI driven or driven by key performance indicators. And key performance indicators for product management tend to be around number of downloads, how many monthly active users or repeat monthly active users are engaged with the product. The number of people who are using a particular feature is also very important for product management, particularly when new features are being released. With product marketing, the KPIs are largely driven around customer engagement. So while product marketing might also be looking at monthly active users, it'll be more around an engagement model to see whether the product is growing over time or if what the churn rates are. And also often KPIs are tied to revenue for the product in the product marketing world. Both roles will be also looking at pricing, but from slightly different lenses. Pricing in the product management world is largely related to understanding what the return on investment is, so that the development and the design and the resources that are going into a release are going to have some benefit from a revenue and customer retention perspective. Whereas the product marketing lens for pricing is really to look at where competitors are, and to understand what the price sensitivity is in comparison to other products. Product evangelism, as I mentioned before, with customer advocacy is important. So the product manager is focused on product evangelism, having it being really the representative of the product for the press, internally at the company, if the marketing team needs someone to be talking about what's going on with the product, product managers will also be working to represent their product across the larger product organization, often with the executive team, with customer support, and all of the different places in the company where somebody needs to really champion the product. Product marketing will also be product evangelists, but really will be focusing more on, it can often play the same role really as product management, and representing and understanding what the narrative is, instructing different organizations within a company, what the proper language is to use, what the feature set are of new releases that are coming out. And with both roles, they're really the definitive source for external groups on the product. So if you have groups like the sales organization, or maybe your channels marketing organization, partnerships, customer support, any of the teams throughout the company that are looking for some definitive information can go to the product management or the product marketing team to get this day-to-day type of information. So let's dive a little deeper on the role of product management specifically. So with product management, you're really focused on building and defining the product. So the key relationships are with the project management team, which in Agile methodology could be called an Agile coach, a program manager, can be referred to as operations or program management. Of course, your engineering teams and your quality assurance teams that are making sure that the product is meeting the standards that you've set and are executing on the product in a way that is in line with what the vision of the product was to begin with. The product design team is helping you to work through complex issues, working through user interface issues, looking at data and research to make sure that you're on target with the user interactions and the look and feel, as well as many other aspects of the product, and working with engineering along with the product management team. And of course, your product marketing team, who's working on the messaging and the go-to-market strategy to make sure that all the hard work that the design and the engineering and the project management teams are doing are being manifested in the marketing materials, and that you're hitting the right target audience for maximum impact. Also, important relationships are with the overall product organization, with the user research team who is gathering data to make sure that the product release is headed in the right direction and the features are prioritized correctly. And as you're going through an ideation phase at the beginning of a product cycle, to make sure that the prioritization that you've chosen for the release is correct. Also, the product analytics team is taking the data that you have coming in from product usage and from the user research team and lots of other places like marketing research, and helping you to synthesize that data to turn it into a strategy. The day-to-day, as I mentioned before, is driven by the software development methodology. So if it's Agile or Waterfall or Lean, all of these roles that interact with product management are driven by that same release cycle. And the orientation to the customer in product management focuses on how the customers will use the product and what their goals are. Let's take a little bit of a deep dive into product marketing and look at their relationship to other teams. So with product marketing, you're really focused on developing messaging, pricing, and marketing strategy or go-to-market strategy. So your key relationships are going to be with the marketing campaigns team, for example, who is driving the messaging for your company across multiple channels. You'll be working with them to make sure that the marketing and the messaging and the strategy for the product fits in with the overall campaigns and messaging of the overall company that you're a part of. Also, the product management team is very important, of course, because they're defining the features and prioritizing them, and we'll have a good idea about what the customer value is for each of the different features that are going to market. The operations team, this is really the equivalent of the project management team, but on the marketing side, it's going to be making sure that things are on schedule, helping you to unblock issues, can be helpful in facilitating meetings and in communicating the overall marketing status to the rest of the organization. The creative teams have a very important role with product marketing. They're really similar to the role of product management and engineering, in that product marketing is setting the messaging and go-to-market strategy, and the creative teams are executing with visual messaging and copy that maps to the messaging briefs that are created by the product marketing team. So it's really an important trusting relationship that needs to be developed. Again, the day-to-day is driven by the software development lifecycle, but the product marketing team will be negotiating likely on a quarterly basis, but can be driven by events or other important milestones in the company and gathering multiple releases into one coherent message for maximum impact, and to make sure that you're really honoring the attention of the users of the product and making sure that you're conveying the important new features in a consumable way on a regular basis. Again, product marketing is focused on driving revenue, so there'll be activities that are supporting the sales organization, for example, and e-commerce activities, also search engine optimization, and so app store copy optimization to make sure that the maximum revenue is being driven by all of the different marketing activities. And so the orientation to the customer is really focused on the customer journey. And that customer journey is really how the customer engages with your product, and is really focused on, like, for example, discovering your product, trying it, using your product, retaining it, and then if you happen to lose a customer, how you might win them back. So it's really looking at this cycle and understanding where people are falling out of this funnel of the customer journey, and working with other teams across the company to really optimize all the parts of the funnel to make sure there isn't a lot of leakage. So some other comparisons between product management and product marketing. Again, product management is focused internally on developing requirements. That's kind of the primary focus. Product marketing is more externally focused on messaging and strategy. The work for product management is focused on prioritizing a feature backlog in the Agile methodology, whereas product marketing work is primarily focused on coordinating the efforts of the marketing organization. The documents that are created for product marketing are product requirements documents, or PRDs. They may manifest themselves as presentations or just user stories in Jira, but the components of PRD are very important to make sure that that's being conveyed to other parts of the organization. So the roadmap, timeline, and other important research, wireframes are all gathered in one place. Often that's a wiki. Documents created in the product marketing world are really more focused on things like messaging briefs and go-to-market strategy documents that sort of explain how you might tune your marketing channels based on your target audience. So, for example, if you were doing an enterprise campaign that was focused on chief marketing officers, you probably wouldn't want to use Snapchat as a vehicle to reach them, because Snapchat users are not typically business users that are focused on enterprise type of concerns. It's really more personal. So, for example, if you were you had a campaign that was focused on high school students, you might partner with the high schools and use Snapchat as a vehicle to reach them, since they're the target demographic that is using Snapchat. And then if you were going to do a campaign that was focused on small business, for example, you might choose local events that were informational to sort of gather leaders in the small business community together so that you could evangelize to them. Personas, as I mentioned before, in the product management world are focused on feature development and product usage, whereas the personas in product marketing are more focused on user engagement, purchasing behavior, and customer journey, as I mentioned before. When you're looking at day-to-day life of a product manager, they're really managing engineering and testing and adjusting the feature set accordingly based on the findings during development and the quality assurance process. With the day-to-day role of product marketing, you're really managing the voice of the product, the technical accuracy of the marketing materials. Analytics in product management are focused on product usage, downloads, and updates to the product, whereas analytics and product marketing tend to be focused on the customer journey, engagement, and launch KPIs. Entry-level salaries tend to be higher for product management than product marketing, but it definitely levels out later in your career. And so that means, of course, that in product marketing, your salary might be lower at the entry level than product management, but it does level out later. The role for product management is usually clearly defined. Product management has been around longer and is a clear part of the software development life cycle, whereas product marketing is relatively new in comparison. So it can often be ambiguously defined because it's not part of marketing and it's not part of product management. And since it's not closely tied to, as closely tied as product management to the product development life cycle, that can play a part in it being ambiguous. Thank you very much for your time. I hope that this comparison of product management and product marketing has been helpful in helping you to understand your colleagues in product management and product marketing, or if you're trying to make a decision yourself as to whether or not product management or product marketing is right for you, that this has been useful. Let's stay connected. You can follow me on LinkedIn, where I'll post information about courses I'll potentially be teaching or different talks that I'll be giving. You can also go to my About Me page, and if you like this talk, you can use my hashtag Maureen C. Keating. Thank you so much. Have a great day.